It's been a while. You can take the girl out of radio, but never the radio out the girl. I'm Marianne Kennedy, and here's a new pal with a similar background from the other side of the world.
Today and tomorrow, and yesterday too. The flowers are dying like all things do. Follow me close, I'm gonna Bali Ali. I'll lose my mind if you don't come with me. I fuss with my hair and I fight blood feuds. I contain multitudes. Got a telltale heart like Mr. Poe. Got skeletons in the walls of people you know. I'll drink to the truth and the things we said. I'll drink to the man that shares your bed. I paint landscapes and I paint nudes. I contain multitudes. Red Cadillac and a black mustache, rings on my fingers, a sparkling flash. Tell me what's next. What shall we do? Half my soul, baby, belongs to you. I rollick and I frolic with all the young dudes. I contain multitudes. I'm just like Anne Frank, like Indiana Jones, and them British bad boys, the Rolling Stones. I go right to the edge, I go right to the end. I go right where all things lost are made good again. Sing the songs of experience like William Blake. I have no apologies to make. Everything's flowing all at the same time. I live on a boulevard of crime. I drive fast cars and I eat fast foods. I contain multitudes. Pink pedal pushes, red blue jeans, all the pretty maids and all the old queens, all the old queens from all of my past lives. I carry 4 pistols and 2 large knives. I'm a man of contradictions, I'm a man of many moods. I contain multitudes. You greedy old wolf, I'll show you my heart. Not all of it, only the hateful part. I'll see you down the river, I put a price on your head. What more can I tell you? I sleep with life and death in the same bed. Get lost, madam, get up off my knee. Keep your mouth away from me. I'll keep the path open, the path in my mind. See to it there's no love left behind. I'll play Beethoven sonatas and Chopin's preludes. I contain multitudes.
Emma Swift with her intimate take on Bob Dylan's I Contain Multitudes. Dylan's fascination with multiple sense of self could just as easily sum up the reason that I'm sharing and loving the music of Australian-born Emma and other musicians in this one-off podcast of tracks from Chile, Catalonia, Scotland, Norway, West Coast, Canada, and of course Oz by way of Nashville and the UK. The multiple musical identities here, though, are individual bands and musicians from all around the world, taking part in a project called Global Music Match. I'm Marianne Kennedy, and for me and every one of the other 77 acts in total who are part of this global network, the world went silent when all our gigs, teaching, collaborating, and all the other stuff that goes into being a professional musician came to a standstill at the beginning of last year. Now we're all taking baby steps back out into the big wide world and live performance, even though too often it can feel like one baby step forward and a large totter back as the stop-start world tries to get going again. But we can still take joy in sharing music and finding out more about new musical friends, supporting each other on that journey. We'll be hearing more from Emma later on, but first, here's another of my Global Music Match team, the insanely cool Fernando Milagros from Chile. A theatre designer by training, his fertile imagination in blending a hinterland of tradition with modern songwriting is quite mesmeric, like this title track from the album Serpiente, looking out to sea with the serpent at the centre. I can't tell if I love you or not.
La mar se ve, la serpiente en el centro. No puedo decir si te quiero o no te quiero. La mar se ve, la serpiente en el centro. No quiero decir si te quiero o no te quiero. Si están todos aquí y no hay nadie allá, por algo será, por algo será. Ay, si están todos aquí y no hay nadie allá, por algo será, ay, por algo será. Ay, luna, luna, tarde apareciste, ay, luna, ya. Luna, luna, ¿dónde te conozco? Ay, luna, ya. Luna, 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 tu carita es luna. Luna, luna, temprano te fuiste a luna. La serpiente en el centro. No quiero decir si te quiero o no te quiero. Si están todos aquí y no hay nadie allá, por algo será, ay, por algo será. Si están todos aquí y no hay nadie allá, ah, por algo será, ay, por algo será. Luna, luna, tarde apareciste, ay, luna, ya. Luna, luna, ¿de dónde te conozco? Ay, luna, ya. Luna, 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 tu carita, ay, luna, ya. Luna, luna, temprano te fuiste, ay, luna. Apareciste, ay, luna. Luna, luna, ¿de dónde te conozco? Ay, luna. Luna, 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 temprano te fuiste, luna. Ay, ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay, ay. Uy, uy, uy.
Ikke fordi jeg har glemt dine smil, har jeg tiet så lenge. Jeg fryktet min sang skulle gå som en fil over skjelvende strenger. Og skjære de hulkende toner i tur, som ingen har hørt uten du. Ikke fordi jeg ikke kan finne et skjelvende smil. Den lange taushet ble nok en gang enklest å gi. Og ikke fordi jeg har glemt dine smil. De begynte så stille, som kom fra de himle bak blånende mil, for å se hva du ville. Og møtte de ikke din sjel på sin vei, som ba dem å flyve mot meg. Ikke fordi jeg ikke kan finne et skjelvende smil. Den lange taushet ble nok en gang enklest å gi. Nei, ikke fordi jeg har glemt dine smil til det siste, det triste, som vittnet om alt, hvorom jeg var i tvil om alt hva jeg visste. Men bare fordi jeg var redd for å gi min lykke en hårmelodi. Ikke fordi jeg ikke kan finne et skjelvende smil. Den lange taushet ble nok en gang enklest å gi. Fordi jeg ikke kan finne
Following on from Fernando Milagros, there was Norwegian singer Kim Ristad with The Long Silence, a song about how it's hard to do the right things in life, especially in love. Kim hails from Setesdal in southern Norway, one of the real hotbeds of the country's folk music, recognised as an intangible cultural heritage by the United Nations. But although he's born and brought up with this beautiful tradition of song and fiddle, Kim's musical range is vast behind that exquisite voice. A writer, a star more than once of Norway's search for a Eurovision song, and he's even recorded a Christmas album with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. You're listening to Marianne Kennedy and a special music podcast for Global Music Match, a worldwide virtual hookup for musicians around the world, championed by Showcase Scotland, Sounds Australia, the ECMA in Canada, and other expo organisations around the world. So here's how it works. The artists are divided into teams of 6, each with a leader who's a promoter or festival organiser in their own right, there to support us all. The project lasts throughout the summer, and we have 2 weeks each to celebrate each other's music and performance. This week, it's the turn of Emma Swift from Australia, who upped sticks from a life in broadcasting to realise her dream of heading for Nashville. Now UK-based, she's overcome the frustrations and despair of cancelled tours, isolation thousands of miles from home, and bleak depression to produce some really beautiful songs in lockdown.
No apologies to make. Everything's flowing all at the same time. I live on a boulevard of crime. Resurrection of had all I can stand of regret. You and and in somebody's room. It's a price I have to pay.
This is Marianne Kennedy recording a special one-off podcast for Global Music Match, a worldwide hookup for musicians as we slowly start to emerge from the pandemic and find ways of making music together without travelling. 78 acts taking part this year, 13 teams of 6, and it's my absolute pleasure to be a part of team number 1, and I'm joined by one of my teammates just now. Emma Swift is with me here from one of the major music cities of the world, Nashville. Emma, it's great to see you and to talk to you from so far away. This project makes me feel like I know you already, but we've never met.
I know. Hello, Marianne. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to actually meet in person. It's so fun doing this Global Music Match experiment. And you are right. I'm joining you from Nashville, Tennessee. But keen listeners will notice that my accent is it's actually Australian. So I'm a little bit geographically confused, but very happy to be here.
What was the draw for Nashville?
Oh my gosh, I mean, the most ridiculous fantasy, dumb stuff of just, I really loved old school country music like Patsy Cline and Willie Nelson and Tammy Wynette and Dolly Parton. And I really just wanted to come here and thrift all of Tammy Wynette's 1970 dresses from the local opportunity charity shops like Bell Sleeve Clothes. And I've sort of had this fantasy that I would come here and meet some kind of, you know, Southern American guy in a hat and, you know, live this majestic, twangy lifestyle. And none of that happened. I met a Brit. But we're still kind of Nashville based, and I just loved the music culture here and wanted to explore that. And I moved here on a whim, and I've been here for 8 years now.
You didn't start out making music though. You've had a whole another career as well as a music journalist. You've lived life.
I have lived life, yeah, kind of like you. I've done quite a bit of broadcasting. So I worked at the Australian Broadcasting Corporation in Sydney pretty much after I left university. I'd done a degree in the very impractical arts of English literature and Australian literature, and somehow they still gave me a job at the ABC, and I became a newsreader for years and years and years. But I was a terrible newsreader because I used to go out to gigs every night and sort of get drunk and then stumble into the office for the 5 a.m. broadcast, very bleary-eyed. And sort of after a decade of doing that, I got to thinking that maybe my life was a little better, would be better spent in the music industry, because it seemed to be where my heart was.
That's what's been really fun for me with the Global Music Match thing, has been finding connections that are not just music, and it's why I thought making a radio programme would be a cool thing for us to in your feature fortnight, because the rules of the game are that we spend 2 weeks all of us focusing on different members of the team and sharing the goodness with our own audiences, and it's been really good so far. But I totally get that newsreader thing, because I did the same, getting up at 4 a.m. and crawling into work, and I can still do BBC Radio Scotland news from the Highlands and Islands with Mary Ann Kennedy and Inverness. Good morning, the headlines, and it just sort of became, it was like a whole nother life.
Absolutely, yeah.
For me, that kind of news world was not unlike music, because it was live. You had to be ready, you had to be on there, you had to do it well, you had to be legal, and so there was a kind of similar buzz to that kind of work.
Absolutely. I really loved the deadlines as well. Like I'm a very kind of adrenalized person. So the thrill of putting something together and then 3 minutes to the hour and breaking news and all of that, it was quite a creative job, really. It's sort of, as you say, not entirely unlike music.
You're such an energetic personality to encounter, even though I've only met it online so far. And so when I read that the album that you brought out last year of Bob Dylan, I'm not going to call them covers, reimaginations, it came out of a real difficult place. Explain to me a little about what was going on and why it was, for somebody who worships Tammy Wynette and Patsy Cline and Joni Mitchell, why it was Bob that brought you back out.
Well, I guess, it's sort of going back to those original records that I was first totally in love with. Bob Dylan made Blonde on Blonde in Nashville. He was still recording he was still writing Sad Eyed Lady of the Lowlands as it was being recorded down on Music Row in the 60s. And so there's a great story of Bob Dylan in Nashville. And I had reached a point of living in Nashville, but not really having a great story. I'd made one sort of okay EP, and I hadn't really done much else. And I started to get really depressed, really kind of questioning my life choices, because the creative life is quite risky. We do it because we love it, not because it's necessarily the world's most secure or financially rewarding business. And so I started to get really down on myself, and it was affecting my ability to write. So the easiest thing to do for me was actually to record someone else's songs. And I don't know why it took me so long to do that. I wish that I'd actually thought of doing it years before, because I grew up, I taught myself to sing listening to Linda Ronstadt records and Emmylou Harris records, and neither of those singers are thought of as great songwriters. They're actually just singers. And the word just is not really a great word there, but they're superb singers, and the songwriting part of it matters a bit less. So I guess that's a long way of saying so I decided to do these Dylan songs. I'm very obsessive compulsive, so I only wanted to do Dylan songs, and I'd definitely do the project again, but probably Lou Reed songs, because I really love Lou Reed. I really like, as you say, I've got this energetic personality, but I'm actually really a singer of sad songs. I like heartfelt things, and I like the poetry of desolation and despair. and I love to sing that stuff.
Okay, well, let's take a break to listen to some more of your music. And I love your paralleling with Emmylou. I mean, such a great example of someone who is a very fine songwriter, but actually she's a singer of songs. But we are going to listen to one of your own songs now, and this is definitely coming out of the lockdown time. Tell me a little bit about The Soft Apocalypse.
I wrote this song in my house in Tennessee on July 4 last year. And it had been a very intense time. We were in lockdown in the United States. I'd officially been locked out of Australia. The government had closed the border to my island home where all my family live. And there'd also been a massive tornado rip through East Nashville, which is where I live, sort of decimating the area and ripping the roofs off houses and throwing buildings into other buildings. And so, I mean, not only was I having this sort of, you know, everybody knows it now because we've been in COVID for so long, like a kind of mental, you know, mind fuck, for want of a better word. I mean, I presume because this is a podcast we can swear, it's not a news bulletin. But so I had a lot going on, and then I just thought, and so this is that song that sort of came out of that. It's a confessional ballad. It's very much about that time and that place. And someone said to me after they heard it, "Oh, you know, it sounds like a news bulletin," and it kind of does. So you know, you never really forget who you are and who you've been.
We're not going anywhere. There's no place left to go. The ants are in the kitchen and the yard is overgrown. The street from here, they're decimating houses without walls. It's empty where the trees once were. There's nothing left at all, except you and I. Tennessee time. God is in the Marmite jar and God is in the jam. God is in the jukebox and only God knows who I am. And in this time of reckoning, I've come to place my bets. Talk to me of resurrection. I've had all I can stand of regret. You and I, in a slow living on Tennessee time. The red hats and their moneyed friends are coming for us all. They hate the way we don't like guns and they hate the way we talk. Outside on the bloody streets, the fireworks light the sky. 55 arrested. the supermarket wine, living on Tennessee time, living on Tennessee time.
That was The Soft Apocalypse from Emma Swift, one of my teammates on Global Music Match. And we're sharing some fantastic times with other wonderful musicians that I'm featuring in the podcast this evening. Buckman Cole from Canada, Fernando Milagros from Chile, El Pony Pisador from Catalonia, and Kim Riestadt from Norway. How did you find out about Global Music Match, Emma?
I found out through the Australian music export agency, Sounds Australia. And they're an awesome bunch of people who really advocate for Australian artists on the global stage. And usually, you know, in the regular world, they will hold events at, Folk Alliance or Celtic Connections or Americana Fest UK or Americana Fest US. Usually they travel to those events and invite Australians to come along and showcase. But obviously with the border closed and everything being closed due to COVID, everything's gone online. So they came in and they encouraged a whole slew of us to get involved and join the Global Music Match experiment.
Did you know what to expect? What did you think you were coming into, and what have you actually come into?
I really had no idea what I was coming into, and it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed it. It's been deeply challenging because I've had some wild personal stuff happen that would not usually be ideal. A full cancelled tour and a bunch more lockdowns, and but that's the kind of world that we live in now. But it's super fun. I mean, just to connect with you and talk about music and learn about the Gaelic tradition and then talk with Buckman about, we're writing a breakup song together at the moment. He's going through a breakup and then learn sea shanties from El Pony Pisador. It's very fun it's not really what I expected, but I also didn't really know what to expect either. Has it prompted the creative side of you as well as the networking side, the sharing things with your own audience and reaching out to new ones? Has it actually been an artistic journey as well? Absolutely, it really has. I mean, it's sort of. I'm not sure if you found this though. It's it revealed a lot to me about my process. I'm such a slow mover, and Global Music Match is very fast moving. So, so I'm probably
you and me both.
So but I'm sort of I'm enjoying that side of it. And I'm enjoying kind of sparking off other people and other ideas. And it's funny though, because I watch some other teams turn around things so quickly, and I'm just not like that. So there's a part of me that is on a bad day I'll get quite anxious. and then I have to come back and remember, hold on, you set the terms for this project. Do it at your own pace. If it happens after Global Music Match, it doesn't really matter so long as it's good.
I thought at the beginning that, like you said, everything was going at pace. And it was a little bit overwhelming, and it felt, we've got to do so much, and it's it's got to be there, and it's got to be. And I was worried about it just becoming something where you just made stuff for the sake of it. But actually, the whole process has felt, apart from a bit full on, it's felt quite organic, and the connections that I've made with yourself and with the others have felt quite natural. And I think they're going to produce things that are, that have a worth and that we'll be able to look back on and say, yeah, no, that was a good thing to do.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's really lovely to have that serendipity of writing and creating with people that I might otherwise have never met.
Well, I'm going to let you introduce the next track because I can't do this one for myself. I asked you to pick out tracks from the rest of the team, and you were kind enough to pick out one of them from my own. So I'm going to say thank you so much, Emma, for joining me all the way from Nashville. I cannot wait until we get to meet each other in the flesh, but in the meantime, making the music together is a really special way of getting to know you. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been so lovely to talk with you. The song that I'm going to throw to is a beautiful track that I just love of Marianne's, and it's called Ada Here.
Asan shakayat gushiyat falas aje fia velen shield the gas wraith by a grain hanyan get the very skala kyo eder don spade go kwadach eder modis cheat stral fein out eder besele doch riech nach el has de krieg Anan salas grein a glor chagar is chachul falle Hanaid hirach cheer an oed skulles marre Came a van traskale kyo eder dan a spade go kwadach eder modis cheer Stral feed out eder behesele doch riech nach el has na krieg Eder na Korse kruhioch eternaya skriesen eternaya Ema loch nach na hema Kalaturi shachkia noya Klach keltrachach causa rei Erengab shenule king Guskala kyo eder don spade Go kwatach eder modis cheer Stral finach eder besile Dach ich nach el has na krieg
Either Here, The Betweenland, a song for the island of Iona and other thin places, as George MacLeod put it. And I'll be heading off very shortly on another real-life journey out of lockdown, all things being equal, when I make a kind of pilgrimage from Iona to St Andrews. I'm walking it, training it, boating it, cycling it from coast to coast of Scotland, ahead of the St Andrews Voices Festival in October, where I'll join up with old friends from the Gaelic Isle of Man and Ireland for a rare performance outing with Ein Chenga, one tongue. The idea is to take time to travel and think and create, and also to meet up with musicians and singers along the route, especially as they find their own way out of the pandemic. First port of call will be Iona Abbey and a singing of that song in the place that inspired it. Wish me luck. So you've met some of my Global Match teammates, but there are two more that you absolutely have to hear in this selection by me, Marianne Kennedy, and the featured artist for this podcast, Emma Swift. To introduce our Canadian team member, Buckman Cole, Emma's picked a track from his album Mama Kaina, Respect the Land. Vancouver-based Buckman's groove is a real mix of influences from reggae to rock, desert blues to Indigenous tradition. Add a love of coffee, beer and dogs, and for me, it's irresistible.
Matamargó. Hi ha un indret on a l'hivern fa fred i a l'estiu fa calor. Tot pujant des de Solsona el camí no serà gens dur. Us donem la benvinguda a la noble vila de avis i àvies, pares, mares, infantes, infants. El 2008 hi comptaven 63 habitants. Cap d'ells no s'ha trobat mai amb la necessitat d'un far, perquè està a més de 700 metres sobre el nivell del mar. Vine que farem lloc per tu. Aquí s'està molt a gust i no ens molestarà ningú. Podrem fer la migdiada o menjar tiramisú. Jo t'espero amb una pinta a la noble vila de podem parlar. Hi abunden pins i roures i alzines de gla, tudons, senglars, mustèlids i algun eriçó comú. Admireu la biosfera, la noble vila de Vine que farem lloc per tu. que farem lloc per tu. Aquí s'està molt a gust i no ens molestarà ningú. Jugarem al SingStar i cantarem el Boig per tu. Un tema darrere l'altre, la noble vila de Su. Nina, que tenim plans per tu. Ballarem al llac dels cignes si portes el tutú. Viciarem els cims i repassarem la taula de l'1. Polirem tota l'energia i vencerem el monstre Mu. Farem gresca i xerinola a la noble vila de Su.
First up there was Buckman Cole from Vancouver and followed by El Pony Pisador from Barcelona. 5 guys with a love of sea songs and shanties from all over. You can't help but smile when you see and hear them in action. But it's not just surface. There's a lot of classy musical skills behind the sport. And they graft. They're currently in the process of building their own studio. And I know what that's all about, so fair play to them. I'll post all the details on the songs and singers online alongside this podcast and also where you can follow us all on social media. It's how we connect, especially in times like these, and we want to connect with you. And it's not just us 6 and our team leader Stevie Smith from Americana UK. There's so much more to discover in Global Music Match. The project has its own dedicated website, globalmusicmatch.com, and you'll find us too on all the major social media platforms using the Global Music Match hashtag. Musicians need an audience, and you are the folk that makes doing what we do possible. Moran Tanguiv Ulig. I'm Marianne Kennedy, and it's been my pleasure to share the music of my Global Music Match team with you. I hope you've enjoyed encountering new delights and connections. I'll leave you with Emma Swift and another track from her Dylan reimagined album, Blonde on the Tracks. This is You're a Big Girl Now. Cheers.
Conversation was short and sweet. It nearly swept me off of my feet, and I'm back in the rain. Oh, and you were on dry land. You made it there somehow. You're a big girl now. Bird on the horizon, sitting on a fence. He's singing his song for me at his own expense, and I'm just like that bird. Singing through these tears. Time is a jet plane, it moves too fast. Oh, but what a shame that all we shared can't last. I can change, I swear. wrote a phrase. You've known it all the time. I'm learning it these days. Oh, I know where I can find you. Oh, in somebody's room. It's a price I have to pay. You're a big girl all the way. Change in the weather is known to be extreme. But what's the sense of changing